making a film is a deep, emotional, almost wounding experience. You'll have to withstand productions for as long as 7 months or even more in non-conducive areas for mental wellness. So how do you keep it all together? Like, the pressure can be intense. The AD is yelling at you. You're trying to capture the shot the director wants, but he still doesn't want it. So how do you keep it together without just yelling at everyone like, you know what, I'm point. Chukueni kamera zenu na mu shoot wenye mnajua. How do you do that? How do you...
As you just said, my last production, from the time we started on pre-prod up until literally the last shot was done, played out about 7 to 8 months. And as you say, it is quite intense. As we just talked about, we talk about more or less 12-hour days, sometimes 16-hour days. Towards the last set of the week, it got to a point where every day of the week we were doing 16-hour days. So 16-hour days, then you come back home, we have to charge these things, so on and so forth, and get ready and go out in less than 4 to 5 hours. It became quite intense at some point. But again, as I said earlier, this is all about mindset. From the point we begin, of course, being chosen to do something like that, the producer or the director or the EP already knows what everyone is capable of. So by the fact that you're already on that table in that production means you have what it takes to make it through. This production for me and all these things are things I've been doing for over 12 years now, 12, 13 years. And it's always been grueling. The idea is, what do you want? And do you understand what it takes to get what you want? So for us to jump in and to do this production, we all know what we wanted. We all know what we want at the end of it. And even if it means 18-hour days, then we understand that if I do the 18-hour days and I put my best foot forward, what I get out of it will be worth it for me. You could also see us saying production and having these people around you is almost like a family. We know what family is like. Family isn't something you can really escape. You'll get a phone call and it's your brother calling. You're not going to not pick up that call. Your mom is calling. These are people you'd live with. And again, as you said, we're all farting here. We're all stepping on each other. Someone has decided to steal your food. These are things that happen. But if we all understand we're in it together for that long haul, then it makes the journey easier. Otherwise, if we're all deciding to do our own various bits and pieces here and there, then it becomes quite difficult. And the other thing to understand is a production, the story behind the production, the script that we're going to shoot, that thing knows what it wants to be. And the EP, the producer, all of us put together as the team, we are to understand our various roles there. Production isn't about the individual. Production's about everything. Production's about everything from the EP all the way down to our unit manager and the person who's moving these chairs around. If these people, if even just one of them decides to do something else, then it's not going to work out. The script knows what it wants to be. And as the people chosen, we are there to facilitate that. I'm not there to insist that this is the shot I want, but I'm there to help the director understand and for me to also understand what the director wants and what the story wants. And if we can agree upon that and make something that we're all happy, then I'm happy as well. The point is not to argue. 8 months of arguing with people is just going to destroy you. You've got to understand what you want inside and work towards getting there.
So I'm giving you a scenario where you're on set as a DOP. You've gone above and beyond research for a shot, set up the lights, everything. And then once you hit roll, the director is like, yeah, what? I do not like this shot. Who did this shot? Why is this shot even on my camera, right? So how do you get to deal with the feeling that and this is the point where you feel like you had given it your all and you are sure of your shot. So how do you deal with the feelings of what's called intrinsic shame on set? Because of course your name is on the line and whatever it is that you called for, it is you on the line, right? So how do you deal with the intrinsic shame that comes with it? And sometimes you feel kind of that, like you've dropped the ball or yeah, sense of unworthiness, like, you know, and I know said so see oh sorry. You know, right? You're like, who the fuck set up this shot? So how do you deal, like, how do you breathe, take a breath, and then you're like, oh, yeah, let's start again. Come
on. A good set allows for communication. Allows for communication from the top to the bottom, all the way back. But it also allows us to understand that this is a ship. A ship can only have one captain. If we're all captains, the ship is not going anywhere. So our assumption is that our captain knows where he wants to go, so that it becomes easy for us to give him what he wants, for us to go where we're supposed to go. So from there, then communication, so on and so forth. I can't lie, a couple of times we've had scenarios like that, but what then happened was, at least behind the scenes, was that we didn't communicate with each other well enough. But once that complaint pops up, and we then realize what he wants, so on and so forth, we move. As you've said, set doesn't allow for kid gloves. It doesn't allow for sorry, wish. Set is people crying in the bathroom. A set is not a soft environment. Everyone is up at 4. Some people are up earlier than 4. We're talking about a set where someone has come from Kitengela, someone else has come from Ruaka, then we're picking up people in Kilimani, and then we're going to Nderi. And we're going to finish up at 7 o'clock, and we're going to come from Nderi, and these people have to go home. So there's not a lot of space for treating people with kid gloves, because we also need to move quickly. If there's a problem, let's talk about the problem, let's talk about the solution. In most cases, we are talking about the problem and the solution as we move, not sit down and have a meeting to deal with it. We are solving these things on the fly. The point is that we get to a point where the communication is clear enough that it doesn't sound insulting, so that everyone leaves this discussion having understood, this is where I did wrong, this is what I'm to do next to solve it. And the other person, and that way we move quickly. I find that the sets where we have a lot of arguments and discussions are the sets where I learn the most. Because it means I've told you what I feel works, you've told me what you feel works, and together we end up on a solution. I prefer to have sets like that rather than a set where someone says, do this, we do it, and we move on. I would rather have communication. This communication allows everyone on the set to have intention and to understand the intention of what they're doing. So I tend to take these things in my stride. Of course, in the moment, they'll shake you, but you've also got to understand what you're there for.